In this video, we're going to explain how you should set up your outline to ensure that your technical volume is compliant. First thing you want to do when you're setting up your technical volume outline is to map your section L proposal instructions to the level 1 headings, exactly as they are found in section L. So in this example, the first section in section L that they are asking us to use is technical approach. So 1.0 is technical approach. And then in the brackets behind that, you put the exact RFP reference information. So here it's section L. First section of section L is 1. And then the first bullet underneath that is section A. Now, if they don't use A, if it's just bullets, then just leave it at section L1. What you're trying to do here is guide the evaluators to understand exactly what information is going to be in that section. So technical approach is going to have all of the information that they've asked you to provide in RFP section L1A. Then you would put in your other sections. So that might be management approach, that might be past performance. You want to put them in exactly the same order as they are required in section L. So sometimes the management approach is the most important thing, and they put that first. Then management approach would be your first section, 1.0 management approach, instead of technical approach as is shown here. Next, you want to break down the section L sections. So the technical approach usually has more than one subsection in section L. Same with the management approach. You want to keep the subsections in the same order as they are in the RFP. Do not rearrange the sections to, quote, tell a better story. Assume the evaluators will have a list in front of them that is in the same order, and your proposal should be in exactly the same order as they're expecting to see it. Now we're going to map in section M, or the evaluation criteria. In a perfect world, the RFP will have the same sections for section M, or the evaluation criteria, as it did for section L, the proposal instructions. If it doesn't, you have to figure out how to add anything new. So try and find a section of section M that is relevant to whatever the additional information in the evaluation criteria and add it there. If there isn't one, then just make up a section within the section L structure that adds the section M. Be sure and use those brackets I talked about before so that it's very clear what section that refers to. Also note that the order in section L takes precedence over the order in section M. So if, for example, in section L, it says technical approach, management approach, past performance, and in section M, it says management approach, technical approach, past performance, section L rules. So you should put it in the same order as section L. Then you want to add the section M references to the brackets. So from the previous example, we had section 1.0 technical approach, RFP section L1A. Now we're going to add M2A because that's the RFP reference for section M. Next, you want to break down the M sections. So again, the technical approach may have more than one section in section M. Hopefully, they're the same as you had in section L. And so all you have to do is add the M references in the brackets because the names would be the same. But if not, you need to add anything from section M that is not in section L. The same is true for your management approach. And again, do not rearrange the order of the sections. Assume the evaluators have a list in front of them that's in that same order. Next, you need to figure out where you're going to address the statement of work or performance work statement. Usually there's an instruction for, quote, describe your approach to the statement of work in one of the subsections of the technical approach. It's often the first subsection of the technical approach, but it's not always. Put the statement of work or the performance work statement sections of section C in exactly where section L tells you to put them. You also want to, as you did with section L and section M, keep the statement of work tasks in the same order as they are in the statement of work in the RFP. Again, do not try and quote, tell a better story. Then you want to add the section C references to the name in the header in the brackets after the section L and M citations. Again, we are trying to help the evaluators understand exactly what that section will include. So, for example, if the first section of your statement of work is task 1 program management, which it often is, then you would put the L and M references in for technical approach. So L1A is technical approach, M2A is also technical approach, and then you add SOW section 6.1, as in the example of the task 1 program management can be found in the statement of work section 6.1. We recommend keeping the L&M references for the SOW subsections, just to make it super clear to the evaluators that you're responding to those sections, as well as the statement of work and the PWS. However, as a caveat to that, if you get tight on page space, sometimes taking the L&M references out and making your header shorter so that they don't wrap to a second line, for example, is a way to get more pages back. And in that case, we would recommend that you keep the statement of work language in the brackets, but maybe not the L&M references. Most proposals will have appendices. These are often the resumes or the letters of commitment. There are other things that might be in an appendix. Sometimes there are draft plans, for example, like a transition in plan or transition out plan or quality management plan. Again, put the appendices in the same order as listed in the RFP. So it might be Appendix A is your transition in plan, Appendix B is your transition out plan, but make sure that everything is really clear. Again, use those brackets in the headers, make it really super easy for the evaluators. The final step in developing your proposal outline is to assign page limits for each section and subsection. I usually put these in parentheses after the section L, M, and C references in the heading. So as an example here, 1.0 technical approach, RFP section L1A, M2A, you'll remember those, we've used those before, and that section is limited to 10 pages. Usually the technical approach gets the bulk of the page limit as it includes the information that you have to respond to the statement of work and the performance work statement, section C. However, be sure to take into account the evaluation criteria. So if management is the most important factor, consider giving more page count to that section than you usually would, because clearly it's the most important to the government. If the evaluation criteria lists the sections, quote, in order of importance, then use that as your guide for page allocations. The most important section gets the highest number of pages. Don't forget to assign page limits to all sections and subsections. So within the technical approach, for example, the overall section might be limited to 10 pages, but within it, how are you allocating those 10 pages? So using the same example as we had before, task 1 program management, we're assigning a page and a half to that section. That doesn't mean that it's a page and a half on top of the additional 10 pages. It's a page and a half within the 10 pages of the technical approach. Then do the same for the management approach, which often has several subsections as well. So key personnel, staffing plan, non-key personnel. Again, you want to assign the page limits based on how important each section is to the overall proposal evaluation. So, for example, your statement of work section in the technical approach usually has the most pages allocated, as I said before. And then within that statement of work, what are the most important tasks? What tasks have the most pages in the RFP? Consider these as you allocate pages for the subsections. And then past performance is usually already page limited in the proposal instructions. Often you're only allowed 2 or 3 pages per citation. Be sure to note also things that are not included in the page count, such as resumes and letters of commitment. So if, for example, you include your resumes within the body of the proposal and not in an appendix, then make sure that in the heading for each resume, you note that that page count doesn't count against the page count of the overall proposal. And then also make sure when you're evaluating how close you are to the page limit, that you don't count those pages against your page limit. So these are all the things that are super important when you're thinking about your page limitations for your proposal. I hope you enjoyed this video from Demystifying Proposals. Please leave a comment if you have any questions or you think there's additional information that needs to be added, and we will consider updates as appropriate. Thank you for your time.